there's trillions of dollars that people have tied up sitting around that they don't think that they can access. The trillions of dollars that I'm talking about is 401k money, IRA money. We've been conditioned to think that this is money that's locked up and you can't access that money until you're old, wrinkly, and retired. And if you do happen to access your money before you're retired, you're going to get crushed in penalties and taxes. That's not true. There's a IRS approved way for you to access money in your retirement accounts, penalty and tax free. Now, we help a lot of people tap into their 401ks, tap into their IRAs, penalty and tax free, and they can use that money to fund their business, to start their dream business. So basically, Jason, just freeing up people's money where people have the mindset that their retirement accounts is just for the stock market and the stock market only. And that's just not true.
Welcome to the Spear and Clover podcast, the show where military mindset meets the spirit of the puppy. I'm your host, Jason Skisick, the entrepreneurial evangelist, and each week I bring you the stories of visionaries who see the world as it could be and can't help but take action. If you're enjoying these episodes, please take a moment to subscribe, like, and review. This is the best way to stay in the loop when we drop new content. Don't forget, the conversation continues in our brand new Spear and Clover community group. Check us out on Discord or follow the link in the show notes below to join this free group for entrepreneurs or wantrepreneurs. This is where you get to join the conversation. You get to know other followers of the show, hear more from our guests, and pick up resources that can help you to grow your business. I also regularly host live Q&As with myself as well as other subject matter experts. I can't wait to see you on the inside. There is a reason why everyone loves a comeback story. It's because it's a very human experience. At some point, we all inevitably stumble and fall from our expected path. The reason we love a comeback story so much is because for those select few, they not only stood back up, but were also able to achieve even higher heights than they could have hoped for. We listen closely to stories like this and we tell them to others, sometimes for generations, because we all want to experience the feeling of overcoming adversity and finding success in life. Not only will today's guest be sharing a hell of a comeback story, he is also an expert at what to do to maximize your returns once you make your comeback success story happen. Today's guest is Daniel Blue. Not only will he be sharing his unbelievable comeback story with us, but he will also be dropping financial knowledge on us as he's the owner of Quest Education, a company that specializes in helping entrepreneurs make and keep more of their money. Please welcome my new friend, Daniel Blue. Daniel, how you doing, brother?
Jason, you have a voice for the radio. I don't know if anyone's told you that. I appreciate the introduction.
Of course, brother. I try to honor my guests. I changed to doing that, to writing I used to do the intros before, and I went on Ryan Sprague's podcast. Shout out to Ryan. And he made me feel so good that now I try to do that for others. And I appreciate the voice comment. That's something I'm still getting over here in my own voice. But how you doing today, brother?
And man, no complaints. I'm wearing a sweater. I'm out here in Las Vegas. It's nice and chilly. Chilly for us is in the 50s and 60s. So yeah. I'm sure there's people out there on the East Coast that think I'm a wimp saying it's cold out here, but we're loving the cool weather.
I just flew home from Vegas yesterday, and it was colder in Vegas than it was in Chicago when I landed. So
really,
I hear you. Yeah, it was my 40th birthday on Sunday, so we were out there.
Happy belated.
Thank you, sir. It's a whole new chapter for me. I'm pumped. So, I think I introduced it a little bit. I want to dig into your origin story. I know there's a lot to talk about today, but why don't you start by telling me a little bit about the company you run now and who you help and how you guys help them?
Yeah, so I like to explain it like this, Jason. There's trillions of dollars that people have tied up sitting around that they don't think that they can access. And the trillions of dollars that I'm talking about is 401k money, IRA money. And we've been conditioned to think that this is money that's locked up, that's tied up, and you can't access that money until you're old, wrinkly, and retired. Mm-hmm. And if you do happen to access your money before you're retired, you're going to get crushed in penalties and taxes. That's not true. There's a IRS approved way for you to access money in your retirement accounts, penalty and tax free now. And you can use that money in a lot of different ways. You can use that money to start your business. I know we were talking off air where some of the people listening, watching, maybe they're working a 9 to 5, maybe they've got a corporate gig and they want to start their own business. They've got this passion. They want to start their own company and they could just use some funding. Well, we help a lot of people tap into their 401ks, tap into their IRAs, penalty and tax free, and they can use that money to fund their business, to start their dream business, to maybe invest into real estate, invest into precious metals, invest into other people's businesses. So basically, Jason, just freeing up people's money where people have the mindset that their retirement accounts is just for the stock market and the stock market only.
Mhm.
And that's just not true.
Yeah, it's funny because I hear financial news all the time, and I come from a finance background. I was in banking coming out of school, and I don't even think about it anymore. I don't even think about the stock market anymore. That doesn't mean it doesn't impact me. I'm not that naive, but I definitely don't as an entrepreneur, and I certainly can. I'm sure learn from some of the stuff you're talking about. That is fascinating. But I agree. There's so many people where they're like, yeah, I got all this money sitting in this 401k and it just doesn't exist. And maybe that's on some level a little bit intelligent so that you don't blow it. But it's such an interesting thing to hear that you're out there helping folks to put it to work. So who's your target? Like, who do you primarily work with? Is it entrepreneurs and folks looking to invest in themselves, or do you work with anybody that has a 401k?
Yeah. So the way that we're able to legally, legitimately do everything I just talked about is through a special type of retirement account. It's called the solo 401k.
Mm.
And this is IRS approved. And a solo 401k is a specific type of retirement account that's created just for entrepreneurs. So
Oh.
we do cater to the entrepreneurs, the solopreneurs, but a lot of our clients, and we've got over 1,000 clients in all 50 states. A lot of our clients, they came to us where they were just about to start their business. Like they were just a couple weeks from starting their business and they just needed some funding to really make that leap happen. And we were able to, be that vehicle, that option to help them get from point A to point B. So, our ideal clients are people between, 30, 60 years old that have an existing retirement account, that have that 401k, that have that IRA, and they just would like some more control over that money. They're not maybe too fond of the stock market. And I think people watching this, listening to this, that are entrepreneurs that want to become entrepreneurs, a big reason why we start businesses is because we want control, right? We want control of our money, control of our time,
Mm.
all that good stuff. So, why not have a little bit more control over your retirement accounts is kind of the mentality that a lot of the people that we help, they have.
I love that so much. And so my next question would be, how did you become an entrepreneur? But I think we may have to zoom out even further. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your origin story, your entrepreneur's origin story, and we'll kind of see where that takes us.
Yeah, so I don't have this story where I was an entrepreneur out the womb and I was selling baseball cards and I was just a hustler in high school and whatnot. Kind of just fell into entrepreneurship. And I think if you go back to when I was a kid is really where it all kind of started. When I was 12 years old, my parents got divorced, and prior to that, we were middle class family. We weren't rich, we weren't poor. I had a mom and dad in the household, and it was just a great life. I played sports. My parents were involved. I really didn't have a whole lot to complain about. But my situation changed dramatically when I was 12 years old. My parents got divorced, and my dad moved to Mexico, and he never came back. And what made that experience different is I didn't know why he'd left and why he didn't come back. All of a
Mm.
sudden, he was in my life, taking me to soccer games, taking me to school, and then I never talked to him again and didn't get any closure. And now it's just my mom and I. And there were some tough times. We lived in California. It's pretty expensive out there. My mom's working her tail off. She was a social worker, so she's picking up extra shifts, doing everything that she can to make sure that she's putting food on the table, paying rent. So that left a lot of unsupervised time for me. And because I lacked that father figure and I didn't have supervision, I started making bad choices, started hanging out with the wrong people. I started drinking alcohol. I started smoking weed. And, this is middle school, this is high school. So, I went from, doing well in school, getting A's and B's and, being socially there and having a lot of friends and playing sports. All of a sudden, I could care less about school. I'm getting D's, I'm getting F's, I'm not playing sports anymore. I'm ditching school. I'm just hanging out with the wrong people. And during that time, my mom and I kind of bounced around a lot. We lived in a hotel for a period of time. We lived with my friend at his house for a period of time. We, bunked up in his guest room just because we didn't have our own place. So I just limped, Jason, through high school, just barely graduated. And when I graduated high school, society told me to go to college. So I went to college, but I only lasted 3 months, Jason. I realized that college just was not for me. I had
Mhm.
no mission on why I was going to school. And one thing that served me well, Jason, is networking, is relationship building. here I am where I've got this company with amazing clients, amazing employees, and I don't have a degree in economics from USC. I'm in the financial space. I didn't come from a family that are made up of wealth management advisors, financial advisors. I didn't grow up with money, but here I am owning a financial company that's helped a lot of people over the years. And a big reason I can say that's happening, and it's happened so far, is because of the network, the relationships that I've built. And that goes back to when I was 18 years old. I was able to, build some solid relationships with people, get to know people, and ended up getting into real estate sales. It was never thought I'd get into sales. Sales was not something that I thought about, but I just had a knack for it. I was 18 years old. I made almost $100,000 that first year. 19 years old, I'm making six figures, and I'm just off to the races. But because I didn't learn a lot about money and we didn't have a ton of money, I thought $100,000, Jason, was millions of dollars. Like,
Yeah.
I literally thought, Mom, we made it. Like, you don't have to work again. And
Right.
obviously that's being super naive and silly. So I spent more than I made a lot of bad choices. And around that time, though, is when I got exposed to the real estate space and hearing people talk about using their retirement accounts to flip a house, using their retirement accounts to invest in the rental properties. So this term, this concept, self-directed retirement accounts, was introduced to me back in like 2009, 2010. And I thought, man, that's cool. I like that concept, because I always thought retirement accounts were associated with Wall Street, with stocks. So this idea that you could use a retirement account to invest into real estate, something different than stocks, I latched onto that idea. I knew that was something I wanted to get involved with at some point in time. And I ended up selling in the real estate space for a few more years. And then right around 2013, 2014 is when I jumped ship, changed industries, jumped into the self-directed retirement account world, was an employee for a number of years, rose up the ranks there. And then about 4 years ago, and I'll use, since I live in Las Vegas, I'm at the blackjack table. I don't even bet, but the analogy I want to use is just, I went all in on myself 4 years ago. I thought, I didn't think about being a business owner up until this point, but I have the resources in place, going back to networking, relationships. I have a really good Rolodex of relationships, people that I can bring together and start this business. Let's just give this a go and see what happens. And it's been 4 years, and it's been a fun ride so far.
Oh, that's so exciting. And it's a story that's not uncommon if you listen to the Spear and Clover podcast, or just if you have friends in this space, in this entrepreneurial space. It's, so many people, I think for the last 100, I just talked about this morning at jiu-jitsu with somebody. I call it the 100-year mistake. Like, ever since the Industrial Revolution, our culture has been like geared towards like producing workers, producing employees, and really painting a very specific picture that really is only suited for a small select few of the people that actually go through it. And I think it's really difficult. That's why there's so many U-turns when you hear stories from people and you start talking to them, is because we're geared so much to that. So I love hearing a story like yours of somebody who successfully made that U-turn and found the courage to go out on your own. Did you do that alone? Did you have a team? How did you launch?
Yeah. So luckily I had a lot of mentors, a lot of people along the way that they knew a lot, they had a lot of wisdom to share. And that just kind of goes back to my mentality as a kid. As a kid, I played sports growing up, and, on the field, I was never the best player on the field. I was never the most talented soccer player, the most skilled basketball player. But my mentality was, how can I create an opportunity for myself where the coach isn't going to pull me out? Like, if it's me or someone else, he's going to leave me on the field because I'm going to help the team win.
Yeah.
And that's always been my perspective. I might not have the most points, but I just have a knack at just bringing the team together and just making other people around me better. And just being a leader on the field, I was a captain a lot of times for my different teams. So that translated into the corporate world. I'm 18, 19, 20 years old, working for companies. I'm 23 years old, 24 years old, working for companies. And same concept, right? How can I show so much value to my boss, where my boss has no choice but to promote me? And that's just because I'm bringing in a lot of revenue into the business. I'm not drama. I'm not someone that requires a whole lot of micromanagement. I'm someone that is able to learn pretty quickly. I'm going to help out my coworker. I'm going to, help the company in different ways, right? So how can my boss's boss, make sure that I'm still rising within the company? And again, if they're going to lay people off, like, they're not going to lay me off, right? If anything, they're going to promote me. So, that was my mentality as an employee. And then, that was able to allow me to create some really solid relationships relationship. So, 4 years ago when we when the company was set up, obviously it requires capital, and going back to some of my mistakes that I made. And that's where I feel like I wouldn't be where I'm at today, Jason, without my mistakes, right? I got addicted to Oxycontin when I was 18, 19 years old. I've been clean from drugs since 2009. I lost everything in 2009. I bought a house at the peak of the market, right, in 2008. I was 19 years old, making six figures. Yeah, let's just buy a house. And I bought a house and I lost that house, right? So, I've had some low moments, right, where, I was at the bottom, didn't have credit, didn't have money saved, right? But we either learn from our mistakes, or we're just in denial, or we have so much pride and ego that we just keep doing the same thing over and over and over, and we're expecting different results, and we're just so dang hard-headed. And I definitely am still hard-headed, but I was a lot more hard-headed back then. But 4 years ago, I was able to make a lot of changes leading up until that point. I had excellent credit, so I had access to a lot of 0% credit cards that I was able to use to start the business. I had a lot more money set aside because I was living below my means, right? I was spending way less than what I was making. That was the reverse when I was 18, 19, 20 years old. I was spending way more than I was making, right? So, it took me having some lows of the lows to actually look at myself in the mirror and make changes and just take ownership of my situation. So then that way, I could have a better future.
Yeah, I want to go back to something you just said. You talked about being hard-headed and then changing. And it's not exactly how everybody says it, but this is something that I encounter in every successful entrepreneur. Is very few. I've only met a few people in my life who were like, out of the womb, it's like you described, like they just seem like they came out ready to rock, and like they don't have, six struggles or whatever. And so many people have either what you would call limiting beliefs or character attributes or some part of them that makes it difficult for them to find success, either leading a team or just any kind of business. What do you credit with being the reason why you could look at yourself in the mirror and see things for what they were that you didn't like and actually make those changes?
Gratitude and being a victim, having a victim's mentality were the two things that really changed my life. So when I was 18 years old, I got addicted to Oxycontin. And usually when people get addicted to drugs, to alcohol, to some kind of vice, they're running from something or they're masking something. And for me, it was my father, right? I still had a lot of resentment. Didn't have closure, right? It was being a victim. Why did I have to grow up without a dad? How come my friends had their dad around? Their dad showed them how to tie a tie. Their dad taught them how to drive a stick shift car. How come I didn't get that, right? So that was still my mentality at 17, 18, 19 years old, just being a victim. So when I had my daughter, I was still addicted to Oxycontin. And unfortunately, one of the things I have to live with, Jason, is I wasn't there when my daughter was born at the hospital. I was just so high. I was just on this binger where I was not there. In fact, I didn't see my daughter until she was 2 weeks old. That's my story. That's who I am. It's not who I am today. That's who I was, right? So when I held my daughter, when I got back in her life, I remember holding her and I remember looking at her and I remember thinking, man, this is a trip. Like, this is crazy that this is my daughter. Like, this is my kid. Like, my blood's in her blood. Like, I love this creature, this being more than anything in the world. And I just immediately remember thinking about my dad, thinking, he probably feels the same way about me. And then I started thinking, he was a knucklehead for doing what he did, but dang, he was a really good dad up until I was 12 years old. And then I just changed my mentality. Instead of being a victim, it was, I'm grateful that I even had a dad up until I was 12 years old, because some kids don't have a dad at all, or their dad's a piece of shit their whole life. And that wasn't my dad. He just was a knucklehead after 12, and I only got 12 years out of him, but they were 12 really, really awesome years. And then I thought, I'm actually grateful that he left, because it allowed me to be closer to my mom. Her and I have this just incredible relationship. I'm a mama's boy, and we're just super tight because we just been through some shit. We've been through some struggles, and struggles usually will bring people closer together because you just been through battles, right? So I have this amazing relationship with my mom because of what my dad did. So everything just worked out in the best way possible. So going back to your question earlier is having that shift of no longer being a victim and then just being grateful for some of the adversity, being grateful for that pain that you experienced, because once you can let go of it, then I found peace. Then I forgave my dad. Then I reached out to him. I said, yo, what you did is what you did. I love you. Let's move past it. He lives in Mexico today still. I talked to him on WhatsApp. I have a group message with him, and it's all good. So, it's important that you find that peace, because if you just hold on to that resentment, that anger, that sorrow, that sadness, you might think you're, hurting them because they hurt you. So you want to hurt them back, but you're really just making it worse for yourself and hurting yourself.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I think the quote is something like revenge is a poison that only kills the person who does it, or something like that. It's like if you get back at somebody, it really only is hurting you. It's interesting you talk about this, because I have elements of my life that I could relate to what you're talking about. I certainly know many people, especially I feel like our generation had a lot of folks get divorced. So we had a lot of divided households, and it just brings me to this understanding over the last few years that like human beings don't all mature at the same rate, and they don't all mature to the same level, and they don't all evolve and continue to learn. And as a child, it's really hard to understand that, especially at 12 or 8 or 15 or 22, to understand that there's a certain point where you may evolve or grow or mature beyond where your parent or somebody that you respect or somebody that's in charge of you. It doesn't matter. Each of us has our own different story, but that can be really difficult. So that's a huge testament to you that you can see that and have I guess the word is grace, to find space to forgive your dad and to reach back out to him. Do you feel like that has been helpful?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. It's because I found peace, right? And peace is hard to buy, right? Peace is hard to get unless you have that experience where you go through some dark times and you figure out what makes you happy. And, you look at yourself in the mirror and you really are 100% transparent with yourself. I think a lot of us just like to be in denial and just run from the truth and just make excuses and come up with reasons why we can't do X because Y is happening. So yeah, we need to have clarity and closure to be able to find happiness in life.
Today's show is brought to you by High Level CRM. High Level is an all-in-one platform designed to help entrepreneurs grow their businesses without the need for multiple softwares or an IT team. Not only does their easy-to-use software allow you to track and manage your leads throughout each phase of the relationship, but it also allows you to build funnels, track stats, and more. Guys, I sat down and added up the cost of software I was able to replace with just one app, and it was over $1,000 per month. Because this is an all-in-one application, I also save a ton of headaches connecting apps and building automations, and the team at Go High Level does a great job of getting you started quickly and easily when you sign on. I cannot more highly recommend these guys. Right now, Spear and Clover listeners get a free 14-day trial of High Level CRM for themselves. Click the link in our show notes to support the show and get started on your free 14-day trial today. I'm super excited that today's show is brought to you by the Global School of Entrepreneurship. Most practicing entrepreneurs cannot take 2 years away from their growing business to attend a full-time campus-based program or spend every weekend away from family and business for a couple of years. Finally, there's an accredited program specifically designed for you to work on and grow your business while completing your MBA. The GSE MBA complements the needs and schedules of someone actively engaged in an entrepreneurial venture while still covering the accredited curriculum expected from any MBA program. The Global School of Entrepreneurship offers a unique offering called the Mastermind to MBA program. It consists of 10 students who work together in a forum-style cohort and meet every other week for a year. The GSE MBA helps you develop skills in critical thinking and strategic planning. Students also develop competencies in leadership, decision-making, and communication with both employees as well as the important stakeholders in your business. You will be exposed to world-class academics and fascinating guest lecturers. You'll work on your business while working in your business. Students are guided by real-world entrepreneurs with decades of experience starting and scaling businesses just like yours. Best of all, I'm beyond proud to announce that the Global School of Entrepreneurship has agreed to offer one Spear and Clover listener a scholarship to join an upcoming Mastermind to MBA cohort. They are looking for someone just like you to bring a unique perspective to the program, and they are accepting applications right now. To learn more and to apply, simply go to www.gse.mba/spear. That's www.gse.mba/spear. Don't miss this opportunity to level yourself up and surround yourself with other like-minded entrepreneurs just like you. Once again, to apply for the GSE MBA Spear and Clover Scholarship, simply visit www.gse.mba/spear. That's www.gse.mba/spear. Today's show is brought to you by Scaling with Media. I mean, literally, like if it weren't for the folks at Scaling with Media, you would not be getting this. Scaling with Media is a truly revolutionary company for any entrepreneur who wants to reach a larger audience without taking on the years of experience necessary to master the required skills. These guys do it all. From helping you develop your creative plan to editing, sourcing content, copywriting, ads management, and way more. Whether you're looking to launch a YouTube channel or podcast, or you just want to scale your business out to more eyeballs, these guys are the absolute best one-stop shop. But that's not all. Right now, Spear and Clover listeners who sign up for their brand launch package will receive a free, that's right, free professional grade studio kit that I'm actually recording right now on. The studio kit includes a professional microphone, stand, lighting, and headphones, and is worth well over $500. Take action now by going to scalingwithmedia.com/spear and claim your free studio kit. Again, that's scalingwithmedia.com/spear, scalingwithmedia.com/spear. Now back to the show. Yeah. And you said earlier that you weren't born an entrepreneur. And I think I've said this a bunch of times, but I think there's two types of entrepreneurs. There's people that were entrepreneurial and then they found a mission, and that's one camp. And then there's people that have a mission so strong that they have to build a business around it. And to me, that sounds like what you're describing. Those are typically my favorite, not one or the other always, but those are typically my favorite. But I guess my question for you would be, you started a business, you found success. Are you driven by a chip on your shoulder? Are you driven by what drives you to want to spread this mission to other people?
So I talked about this on another podcast, and I think it's really important that all of us kind of think about this for a second. Is we hear popular terms right now are passion and purpose, right? Yeah. Passion and purpose are two things that you see on social media a lot. You see things like, if you enjoy what you do for work, you never work a day in your life, right? So I want you to kind of think about this for a second. Right now, are you living your life all day, every day, every week, every month, where your cup of passion is filled to the top and your cup of purpose is filled to the top? So whatever you're passionate about, that cup is filled to the top. And whatever your purpose is, that cup is filled to the top. Are you there? And I think very, very few people, if they're honest with themselves, are actually there. I'm not. I'm just going to keep it real that I'm not there. However, when you're in a dark place, when you're in a funk, when you're burned out, when you're depressed, it's because one of the or both of those cups are not filled up. You're lacking in both of those cups. The reason why I'm on this podcast right now, the reason why I have a company that is amazing and amazing clients and amazing family and amazing employees is because I have one of those cups filled up and I feel great about that. But that other cup, I do want to fill up. However, that's my cup. What I'm passionate about, you can't tell me, right? The internet can't tell me. It's me, right? Yeah. So I'll just kind of share what works for me. And again, this is me not giving someone advice, but I'm just kind of share my experience. So my purpose is impacting people. I love helping people. That was me in school. Like I didn't like scoring the goal or scoring the basket. I loved the assist, right? I love setting up the play. Like I love making an impact on the team, right? That defensive play that might not show up on the stat sheet, but it helped us get the dub, right? Like impact that's my
I love
purpose,
that word.
Right?
I love that word.
Yeah. So if I can make impact with my daughter, with my wife, with my mom, with my employees, with my clients, right? My cup is filled. So my purpose cup is filled right now. No problems there. My passion cup, I am not passionate about 401ks and IRAs, right? I don't wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh my gosh, I freaking love 401ks.
Right.
That's just not me.
Yeah.
However, because I own a business in the financial space, my purpose cup is filled and I'm helping people with 401ks and IRAs. So I'm somewhat passionate about it, right? Else I wouldn't be doing it. But what I'm truly, truly passionate about is my own situation and helping people that were in a similar situation or are in the same boat, right? I'm talking about the 13-year-old Daniel Blue, right? That's skipping school, that is doing drugs, that is, without a father, that, is in a broken home, right? Like I want to be able to help that kid, right? I want to serve that community. I have a soft spot for for kids that come from broken homes. That was me, right? So if I can get in front of them and find ways to help them, especially kids without fathers, like, and find a way to help them, to bring them up in this world and make a difference, that's my passion. And if I can do it that has something to do with like sports or fitness, because I love fitness, I love sports, that's my jam, that's my passion. But I'm 33 years old. My business is only 4 years old. I only have 13 employees. I use the word only because I can't just say, hey, peace out, guys. I'm going to go start my passion project over here. Like, that doesn't work that way. I still have work to be done within my purpose, within my business, within my employees, within my clients. So once I can get that, where I have that scaled and I have the right people in the right bus and I'm empowering people and I have people that can operate this business without me, because I still do have to operate this business, but once I can remove myself, then I can focus on some other things, right? So I say that because don't get too caught up, right? If you are reading social media or listening to your friends or seeing them on social media and it seems like they're living out their purpose and their passion, you don't know that really, right? I mean, it could be a front, and it's okay. You can still be happy if one of those cups is lacking. Maybe your passion is filled up, like you got your passion cup filled up, but you're trying to figure out your purpose. That's okay, right? Like it's going to come. But I think the ultimate definition of success, in my opinion, is when both of those cups are filled up. And that's something I'm still chasing.
I love that. I love that context that you said, that you framed that with. If you could take back what happened in 2008, 2009, your addiction to drugs, do you think you would do it differently? Or do you think that it's what made you who you are?
And I truly believe that the greats, the best of the best, had to overcome some pain,
Yeah,
trial and error, a lot of adversity, because that's what built them. That's what gave them character. That's what gave them perspective, right? And that's what allows them to find that other gear to win. So I would be in a different spot if I didn't go through that adversity. So I'm a big proponent of struggle, of pain. It's actually why I started doing long distance running here recently.
I love
got
pain.
done doing a 50-mile run.
Good for
On
you,
Friday/Saturday. It took me 10 hours. So that's why it's Friday/Saturday. I'm a big proponent of putting yourself in positions where it's a controlled environment where you're going through pain, because so much of it is just mental, right? And so 100%, I would be in a different spot today if I didn't go through that 2008, 2009. But again, the old me was looking at those circumstances as, why me? This sucks. Why me? This is terrible. Life sucks. Versus the new me was, you know what? Yeah, it was rough, but I'm grateful that happened. I'm grateful for this. And just finding those lessons to extract within those experiences. It's easier said than done, but they're buried in there.
Yeah, my friend Robin Lalonde, who's like a great famous running coach and an unbelievable human being, calls it elective collective suffering. So it's CrossFit or running groups or jujitsu or kickboxing or hot yoga, it doesn't matter. It's this idea of we all are going to agree, we're going to suffer together and form these sweat bonds. And what happens is this is like your continuum of like pleasure and pain. And as soon as you add like, I don't know, jujitsu to it, it's like everything else seems easy and not a big deal. So what allowed you to start swallowing that tough pill? Was there a book or a speaker or just a moment in your life, a look in the mirror? What was the turnaround for that? Because that's a tough one for people to learn, is how to enjoy pain and suffering.
I think just going back to 20, 21 years old, I left St. George, Utah. It's where I got addicted to pills. It's where I had my daughter, and I needed a different environment to get clean and stay clean. I tried to get clean so many times and I just kept relapsing. And I just remember thinking, I have to change my environment if I'm going to get clean and stay clean. So I went from owning a home, driving a Range Rover, money not really being an issue. And because I made decision after bad decision after bad decision, and eventually the drugs and the money caught up with me, I hit rock bottom. I went from all of that to I lost my house, I lost my car, I was broke, and now I'm in Las Vegas in a new city. But what I had was I had my sobriety and I was clean. And that was painful because we have that ego, right? Now I'm a father, I'm 21, 22 years old. I'm used to making money, and now I'm not making the type of money that I was before. I don't have a car, I don't have a house. So there was some pain there, right? But what happened is the noise died down, right? Now it's quiet. Now it's just me and me. And I could
Mm.
really just get in my own thoughts and figure out what makes me happy, because before it was I had to be high in order to be happy. I needed X to happen in order to feel this way. So I was always chasing something that I thought once I had it, it would fill up my cup. And we all know that's not true, right? You don't get to a point where you're like, if I can just make this much money, then I'm gonna be happy. Or if my wife just did this, I would be happy. Right. Or if I just had this business or this promotion, I'd be happy. No, because you're gonna get it. And then the next thing is, oh, I need this to happen, right? So it has to be internal. So that taught me to kind of just understand that struggle is just part of the game. And once I was able to overcome that struggle and really make that comeback and get back on my feet, I just recognized, man, struggle is just a part of the game. And then I didn't realize that the whole personal development world, really hinges on struggling and going through pain and challenges. And I really immersed myself in the self-development world. Probably 2017 is when I really got into reading books, listening to podcasts, getting involved in masterminds and coaching groups. And obviously we're 5 years into it now later, and it's a lifestyle.
Yeah, I cannot agree more as far as the investing in yourself by listening, reading, and joining masterminds. Speaking of which, do you write? Do you record anything? I don't think you have a podcast, right?
Yeah,
Do
it's
you?
called How Winners Win.
Oh, get out of here.
Shoot, man. I just interviewed Ryan Stewman. We've had John Lee Dumas on the show,
Oh,
Caleb
wow.
Maddox. We're probably 91, 92 episodes deep. We do an episode once a week. So I've been doing it for about a year and a half. We're on all the major platforms. So How Winners Win, the mission there is to help people win in their personal life, their financial life, their entrepreneurial life. So I share some of the struggles, that we have in business, some of our wins, the financial world. We'll kind of geek out on some of the financial stuff. And then, the personal side, obviously mental and, the physical side and all that kind of fun stuff.
Nice. Let's bring it back to the financial stuff. So, if I'm listening to this podcast at home and I'm either getting ready to start a business or an entrepreneur already, what are just a couple of points that you could hammer home for us that I should be looking at trying to do? What maybe just a couple of quick things that are helpful that I can do today or in the near future?
Yeah. So I think number one is just really important to be aware of your retirement account, right? The stock market's down about 20% this year so far. So a lot of people are concerned about the stock market, right? You turn on the news, and I don't watch the news. I'm sure your listeners probably don't watch the news, but maybe they see it on social media or their friends talk about it. You've got the war in Ukraine, gas prices, inflation, interest rates going up. All of that is affecting the stock market. When the stock market goes down, people's 401ks and IRAs go down in value, right? So if you have a 401k or an IRA, I think it's really important that what's up, what's going on. A lot of people kind of have that money out of sight, out of mind. And it's really important, especially now, lift up the hood of the car, so to speak, and see what's going on. What's the value of that account? Where is that money invested? How much are you paying a year in fees? Now more than ever is even more of a point, for reason why you should have kind of that financial checkup, just to make sure that you have a pulse on what your money is doing. And if you are that entrepreneur, if you do want to start a business and you like the idea of tapping into that retirement account penalty and tax free to maybe start a business, or maybe pay off some high interest rate credit card debt, or maybe just do some other investments that are not the stock market, just know there are ways for you to get your hands on that money. Like I mentioned earlier, the solo 401k is a great plan for entrepreneurs. You basically can take your IRA or your 401k from your old job, convert it into the solo 401k that you set up, and then now you're the captain of your own ship. Now you can direct those funds and use the money in a lot of different ways. And when you're just getting started in business, I think it's really important that you have different tools in the tool belt, more options at your disposal. And in the solo 401k, it's just one of those tools in the tool belt that can be used to help you get from point A to point B.
That's awesome. All right. Well, Daniel, there's 2 questions that I ask everybody that comes on the show. Are you ready to hear those questions?
Let's hear it.
All right. Number 1, if you had access to unlimited financial capital, how would you profitably grow your current business?
Man, no one's ever asked me that question before. I think I would just be doing a ton of paid video content. I think video content is just a great way to get in front of people. So, I think I would be spending money on just getting in front of more people, right? You could have the best product, the best service out there, but if no one knows about you, how are you really going to break through? How can you really scale, right? So I think to answer that question, it would be exposure, some way of getting the word out more.
Question number 2, if you had to give up your current business or businesses and start something from scratch that you've never done before, what do you think that might be?
I think anything sales. I think that's one thing that people can probably relate to. This is some days in business, you feel like, man, we made it. This is amazing. I'm so glad we started this business. Life is great. I'm a part of the 1%er in this world. I'm so blessed. Thank you, God. And then the next day you're just like, bro, what am I doing? How am I going to get out of this mess? Why did I make this choice? I'm such an idiot, right? It's just such up and down. But what gives me a peace of mind is, if the world ended or if something happened in my life where I couldn't do this business anymore, just worst case, I always know I could go sell, right? And I think a lot of you listening to this, you probably have that same skill set, whether you're selling fitness coaching, I could sell a roof. I can go sell solar. I can go sell cars. I can go sell real estate, no matter what, right? Because people buy into people that they know, like, and trust, right? So I don't really need to know so much about the product or the service. I need to know some of the basics so I don't sound like an idiot. But the sales is communication. So I know I didn't, get granular in answering your question.
We're gonna pin you down. It's a good answer, but I'm gonna pin you down. If you had to start a new business, what would it be? Like another type of thing?
Yeah. I mean, if I'm broke, I'm probably going to sell something that has some pretty good commissions, right? So I can get back on my feet. So maybe
Windows,
solar,
roof. Yeah.
Roof. Yeah. I feel like, man, so I'm in this mastermind. I go to Texas once a month, and it's a pretty high level, expensive mastermind. And a lot of the guys in there are roofers. And dude, they're just driving Lambos. And I'm just like, man, I got in the wrong business, dude.
It's roofing and windows. Windows is another really big one.
High profit margin. So if I wasn't really tripping about money, I probably would get into fitness coaching or health, nutrition sales, something based around fitness, health, nutrition.
Yeah, I would do the roof coming from a fitness background.
Oh, for sure.
I'm just kidding. I love fitness too. Daniel, this has been awesome. Where can folks find you? How can they get in touch with you? Lay it on us.
Yeah, danielblue.me. Go check out that site. It's Daniel Blue just like the color.me. On there, you'll find links to the podcast, and then you'll have access to my book. I wrote a book called Blueprint to Your Best Retirement. You can get that on Kindle. You can get that on audio. You can get the hardcover, and the book gets a little bit more in detail, helps people understand how they can access their retirement accounts penalty and tax-free, how they can make money tax-free. And then all my links to my social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, on Daniel Blue, LinkedIn. And then if I've got your wheels turning and you're thinking, well, shoot, I've got this money in this retirement account and I don't really like what it's doing, and I like the idea of accessing it penalty and tax-free, there are some steps that you can take on the site to see if we're a good fit. We can help you out.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much for coming on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, Daniel Blue.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you guys so much for watching or listening to the show. If you enjoyed the show, please don't forget to show us some love by liking, rating, and subscribing so we can keep making more and better content. If you'd like to support the show and get a great additional content like exclusive shows and even live group masterminds, please head over to patreon.com/spearandclover to become a member of the tribe. If you're interested in learning more about how we help entrepreneurs, visit spearandclover.com or message us on any of our platforms. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.